Can everybody just stop what they're doing and pay attention for a second, please? So up until this point, we've been using Vectorworks, and we've just been using one space, okay? This is design layers. So as I was saying, design layers have this infinite amount of space that we can draw with. Now the thing is, when we're drawing, right now we're drawing in plan view, but we want to be able to right now, for instance, we're drawing a main floor, but on top of that main floor is going to be an upper floor. And maybe below that main floor is a basement, and technically below that is going to be our site. So we want to make sure everything aligns vertically. So Vectorworks is great in that it has multiple design layers. So we haven't used them up until this point, but we will want to start using them. So in our navigation palette, this is our little design layer icon. And you can see that it stacks, there's layers. And I can see what I've done is created multiple layers. So I can see that I have my site, this is the image that I imported in. I have my site plan that I've drawn from that image. I then have my main floor, and then I've also created a second. Okay, so there's multiple ways of creating design layers, and there's ways of organizing and viewing them. So as you can see, I just clicked to the left of the design layer name, and that changed the layer that I was looking at. Okay, so up until this point we've started and it's been design layer 1. So what I can do is I can either double click on this little layers icon, and this brings up this organization palette. Under that organization palette, I can see classes, design layers, and we'll just focus on design layers right now. If you get into this and you don't, just make sure you get onto your design layers. So I can see that I have those layers. They're all visible. I'm currently check marked on the site. There's a stacking order. So this is when we were kind of creating our objects before, there was a stacking order. This is relevant here within, so each layer can stack on, and then the objects within that layer also stack. I can change the stacking order. This is top down. So I want my site at the bottom. I want my upper floor or my roof plan on top. So if, for instance, I've created them out of order, I can hover over the little number, and it changes my icon to a little, I don't know what that's supposed to be, a bent rectangle. And I can click and just drag it and move it up. I can see the scale, I can see the elevation. We won't really get into that right now. I can add a new layer. So this one, I'll just do a roof plan and hit OK. It's placed my roof plan on top. I can edit, if I select a layer, I can edit that layer. In that layer, I can change the scale, stacking order, which I did by clicking and dragging. Layer wall height, we won't really get into this right now, but we will eventually, so know it's there. I can hit OK. I can also duplicate a layer. So that's going to duplicate the settings for the layer, but also everything on that layer. So all the objects on that layer, I can duplicate. So that might be nice if I've already laid out my room areas, my blocks. I can duplicate that layer, and then the new ones are going to stack. It'll be stacked on top. So for instance, right now, I will duplicate this main floor 2. I hit OK. I can see, and there's layer options. So right now, there's a lot going on. Some of it's grayed, some of it's visible, and some of it's not. So I can see with my layer options here, if I click on this drop-down menu, I can do active only. I can gray others, I can gray snap others, I can show others, show snap others, and show snap modify others. These are our layer options. There's also options for classes. Right now, we most of the time want to stay away for our layer options from the show, snap, modify others. We can, and most of the time, if we want something visible, either grayed or fully visible, we're going to want to snap to it. So rarely are you going to use gray others or show others. You're most often going to use gray snap others or show snap others, and sometimes active only. So I have show snap others, and I can see that as I move through the layers, different objects are selected. Okay. Right now, I have show snap others, and all of the layers are visible. I can turn some of them off. So there's visible, not visible, and grayed. So not only can we gray things over here and show them or not show them, but we can do so specifically for each layer. So some we might want all visible, some we might want grayed. I'm going to also turn off my site plan. Oh, and I duplicated, no, my roof plan. If I do active only, I can see that there's nothing actually on my roof plan. I can see my second floor, I have one rectangle, a bedroom. My main floor, I have 3 rectangles, and my main floor too is exactly those same rectangles because I duplicated that layer and those objects were on that layer to begin with. I can turn this off, it doesn't matter. I can make some things grayed or actually. So for instance, I want to go, I'll show snap others. And I have this main floor to grade and I'm on my main floor. I can also go to my second floor. So I can see on my second floor, I have my bedroom and below it grayed off are my kitchen and living room. If I, for instance, I can't select these objects because they're on different layers. So it's kind of a way of protecting our work as well. So we can make modifications on one layer without altering the objects on another layer. If I want to select this object, I can see that my layer here is second floor. I can click on this drop down menu and it has all these different layers that I have. I can also do a new design layer if I wanted to because I can duplicate my objects. I can go Command D, and then I can send them to a different layer if I wanted to. So I just took that living room box from my main floor and I put it on my second floor. I want to show active only. I can see that it's active only. There's a lot of different configurations for this and a lot of different settings. So just try and create a new layer and draw, change the visibility, make sure I can snap so that if I wanted to draw another rectangle, I can snap to the objects below because they're on a different layer. And I'm on show snap others. Oh, right, so creating a new layer, I showed you already, I can go double click on the layers icon in the navigation palette. I can also right click in this navigation palette. I can add new. If I have a layer selected, I can right click and I can new, edit, duplicate, delete from that location as well. There's also this little icon here. If you notice, it's the same icon as over here. It's your layers. If I click on that, that brings me into my organization palette and I can make those adjustments. If I go also in this click down drop down menu, I can add a new design layer. This brings me into my new design layer dialog box, and I can hit OK. Do you guys want another way of doing things? Because Vectorworks is all about that. I can also go Tools, Organization Palette, and again, this takes me into my Organization Palette, open to my design layers. I can go New. There's that new design layer dialog box, so I can create a layer there. And all I'm doing here in this case, at this point in time, is naming that layer. All good?